As you can see, now our setup is ready. We have installed required libraries. We will add others whenever needed as we move forward. First, we are going to use Google Gemini. After that, we will switch to Llama 3.2 from Ollama, which runs locally on our local machine, right? And finally, we will use OpenAI GPT. So let's begin with Google Gemini. Let's import required libraries. So let's create new file with gemini.py. So first, let's import OS. Then let's import google.generative.ai as GenAI from .env. Let's import load_.env. So here we are importing OS that allows us to access environment variables. We are using this to securely fetch our Gemini API key, which we have stored inside .env file, this file, right? So that's why here we are importing OS. Next, we have imported google.generative.ai. This is the official Gemini SDK from Google. Using this, we can configure and communicate directly with Gemini models through code and load_.env. This helps us to load variables from the env file into the environment. This way, we don't hard code such kind of sensitive information that you can see API keys inside the script. So this helping us, right, to secure our sensitive information. Also, let's import Langchain _Google_GenAI. From that, let's import chat Google Generative AI. Let's save this. So this is a Langchain class that provides a clean interface to interact with Gemini. And finally, let's load our environment variables. So this line reads the .env file and loads all the key value pairs. Key value. It loads all the key value pairs into the environment. So now you might have observed here we are using Langchain and chat model of Gemini. The question is, why chat model, not LLM? So before we move forward, let's discuss something important. Then we will back to this code. So let's start with what is Langchain. Let's say you work in a company where you have to communicate with teams from different countries. One team speaks English, another speaks Japanese, another French, and another Hindi. That you can see here to our left side. Now, instead of learning all these languages yourself, you hire a translator. You speak in your language and the translator takes care of everything. They translate your message, talk to the right person and get the reply and give it back to you. You don't need to learn any new language yourself. Yes, that's exactly what Langchain does, but with AI models that you can see to our right side. Each model like OpenAI GPT, Google Gemini, Llama and Mistral has its own way of communicating. Langchain works like the translator. You give your request once and it knows how to talk to the model, get the response and return it to you in a simple way. Now let's look at technical definition of Langchain. Langchain is an open source framework designed to help developers to build applications powered by large language models, LLMs. It provides a standard interface to connect with different models. In simple terms, Langchain acts as the bridge between your application and different LLMs or chat models that you can see here to our right side. It handles all the background work like sending the request to LLM, getting the response from LLM, managing memory, chaining tasks, etc. so that you can focus just on building real features. So Langchain provides standard classes to communicate with different models easily. You don't have to write separate code for each provider that you can see on the screen. You just use the right class and the Langchain takes care of the rest that you can see here. If you want to talk to OpenAI, you can use the chat OpenAI class. That's all. If you want to use a local model through Ollama, you can use the chat Ollama class. That's all. And if you want to work with Google Gemini, you can use the chat Google Generative AI class that just we have imported, right? And we are going to discuss this all practically. So once you use these classes, Langchain will handle all the communication with the model behind the scenes, like sending the request, getting the response and passing it back to your app in a standard format. This makes it super easy to switch between models later that we will discuss practically. For example, if you start your project with Olama and later want to use Gemini, you don't have to change your entire code. Just change the class and everything else works the same way, exactly same way. As we discussed, here we are using chat models, not raw LLM. This is an important point. So before we move ahead with the code, let's pause and understand why we are using chat models. So in Langchain, there are mainly three types of models: large language models, chat models, and embedding models. So as you know, large language models are trained on general data, which are great for text generation, summarization, translation, and more. And we are going to use chat models, which are trained on conversations, which are ideal for chatbots and interactive applications. Also, we will discuss embedding models, which are used to convert text into vectors for tasks like search, read, and similarity tasks. But going forward, Langchain is shifting more towards chat models, and LLMs may eventually be deprecated. That's why in our upcoming discussions and hands-on sessions, we will mainly focus on chat models. So before we move back to coding part, I want to discuss a very important point: open source and closed source models, because here we are going to use both open source and closed source models. So what is closed source models? So these are models owned by companies. You don't get direct access to their inner architecture. You use them through cloud APIs with an API key. And these are different examples. OpenAI GPT runs on OpenAI's servers, right? Google Gemini runs on Google's infrastructure, so we can access them through API key. And next, open source models. These are models whose weights are publicly available. You can download and run them locally without internet, right? That we have already said. Olama, locally, right? And examples: Olama, it's not a model itself, but a local runtime that allows us to run popular open source models like Llama, Mistral, or Gamma on our machine. I'm sure now you must be knowing this, right? So closed source models like OpenAI and Gemini are powerful, easy to use, and require no setup, but they need an API key, internet, and are paid. Now, open source models like Olama run locally, are private and free after download, but require good hardware and maybe slightly less powerful, right? So we are going to discuss both open source and closed source models. Now let's back to our coding part. So let's continue with our script to set up Gemini. As you know, we have already imported required libraries. Also, we have loaded environment variables. Right now, let's configure the Gemini SDK, this one. And model equal to, we are going to use models and Gemini 2.0 hyphen flash, and let's assign it to one variable LLM. Let's save this. So this model name you can get from Google AI Studio that you can see here. These are different models available. You can see, right? So you can get different model versions of Gemini from here. Let's back to our code. So here we are creating an instance of the Gemini chat model using Langchain that you can see, and we are using this model, this Gemini model. Now let's send a test prompt. So for that we have to use LLM dot invoke method. Let's ask what is the capital of India, and let's assign it to one variable response. And now let's print response. Let's save this. Try to run this. Python Gemini.py. You can see output like this, but we are interested in this content only. Write dot content. Let's save this. Let's clear this and let's run one more time. Great. You can see the capital of India is New Delhi. Means our code is working properly. You can see how simple it is, right, to use Langchain. So now, as you know, our code is working fine. So now let's create simple web application using Streamlit. So for that, first we have to install Streamlit. So this is our requirements.txt. and let me add Streamlit here. Now we have to install Streamlit. So for that we have to write following command: pip install -r and requirements.txt. Let's press enter. Done. Let's clear this. Let's move to our code of Gemini, and first we have to import Streamlit as st. So first, what is Streamlit? Streamlit is a Python framework that makes it super easy to build interactive web applications directly from Python scripts without needing HTML, CSS or Java script. So first, let's add title to our app. So for that, st.title, as simple as that, right? Let's give name Gemini Chat app. Let's save this. So our title is ready. Now to get this prompt from the user, we have to use st means streamlit dot text underscore input, and here let's write type your question and press enter. So first we have given title that will be displayed at the top of our web app, since this is usually the heading or name of our application. Next, st.text underscore input. So this creates a simple text box for the user to type something, and the text that we are mentioning inside this function text underscore input becomes the label of the text box, and that we have to store inside one variable prompt, right? That we have to pass inside invoke method prompt, right? Now very important part, if prompt is available, then we have to execute these two statements, right? Means when the user types something and presses enter, we are sending that input to the Gemini model using this invoke method. So this function sends the prompt to the model and returns the response. Now here you can see we are printing response on the terminal, but actually this time we are creating web app. So for that we have to use .write. It displays the model response on the Streamlit web application, right? So I think done. Now to run our web app that we have created using Streamlit, so we have to run like this: Streamlit run our file name gemini.py. Let's press enter. Great, you can see our app is running on the browser. So let's ask what is Langchain. Let's press enter. You can see press enter to apply. Press enter and you can see title that we have provided inside st.title, and type your question and press enter. You can see that we have provided inside this function text underscore input, right? And st.write, which is printing response here on our web app. Great response in very much detail, right? By this model Gemini 2.0 Flash. You can see our web app is running properly. So now you can see how simple to create web app using few lines of code, right? And that's all. Let's move on. Now let's build the same simple Streamlit application but with Ollama. So we have started with Gemini, and now because of some reason we want to switch to Ollama local models, right? Here let's create one new Python file with name Ollama. You can write any other name as well. Select this code, let's copy this code, and let's paste it over here. So here we not require these libraries because we are going to use Ollama. Also, we not require to set these environment variables because our model is running locally on our local machine. So to import from Langchain underscore community dot chat underscore models, we have to import chat Ollama. That's all. Less of this, let's copy, and we have to use chat Ollama. And in place of these models, save this. Let's move to command prompt. Let's type Ollama, right? That we have already used Ollama list, and we have downloaded these many models, and we are going to use this one. Let's copy and let's paste it over here, right? Change this Ollama chat app. Done. Now we no need to change anything thanks to Langchain, right? Just we have used this class and this model. That's all. We don't have to change the entire code. You can see, right? We are keeping the same structure. Clear this? Now let's check our code. Because we are using Streamlit, so we have to run like this. Streamlit run ollama.py. Let's press enter. Oh great, You can see again I'm asking what is Langchain. Let's press enter. You can see press enter to apply. Value error because model is required. Okay, no space. Sorry for this. Let's press Ctrl C, clear this. Again, same question, press enter. Hope this time it will work. You can see it is running automatically thanks to Streamlit, right? Great. You can see detailed output from this model. Llama 3.2 3B model. As you can see, now our web app is working properly with Ollama as well. Now let's use OpenAI's GPT models. As you know, we started with Gemini, then we switched to Ollama to use a local models. And now let's say we have some credits available, so we are going to switch to OpenAI. Please note one important thing before using the OpenAI API. You need to have some credit in your OpenAI account. Usually you must add at least $5 to your account to start using the API key. This credit will be used to make requests to models like GPT-5, GPT-4, etc. that I have done, right? I have just added credit $5 to my account. Once you create new secret key, we have to write like this into .env file, right? With the same name, OpenAI _ API _ key, and just you have to paste key here after creating from platform.openai.com like this, right? So I have completed these steps. Now let's move on. So now as you can see, currently I'm using requirements.txt. To use OpenAI, we have to install this particular package, Langchain-OpenAI. Let's save this. Let's activate the environment, clear this, and let's install packages from requirements.txt. Let's press enter. Done. Let's clear this. Let's create new file, chat openai.py. Let's take this code of Gemini and let's paste it over here. So in place of this that we have used for Gemini, here we have to use from Langchain _ OpenAI. We have to import chat OpenAI. Let's save this and let's copy this class and just we have to replace here. So done. We have imported this and here we have changed this. Now the third, just we have to change the model name. Let's use GPT-4. No need to change anything thanks to Langchain, right? Exactly same code. So here we have imported this class that we want to use, chat OpenAI, that we have used here. Just I change the model. I am keeping same instance and here same invoke method. Exactly same code thanks to Langchain. Now you can see how simple to manage different models with Langchain, right? So you can see how Langchain providing common interface between different models, right? So I think done. Here we have used Streamlit. So we have to run like this, Streamlit run and chat openai.py. Let's press enter. Done. You can see. Let's ask this question. What is AI? Oh, I need to change this. Let's back to code and here we have to write chat and AI chat app. Done. Back to this. Reload this page. You can see. Now let's ask this question. Let's press enter. You can see short and sweet answer from OpenAI GPT-4 that you can see, right? I hope all of you are clear with this, right? So we discussed how Langchain makes it super easy to switch between different LLMs that you can see, whether it's Gemini, Ollama or OpenAI. The overall code structure remains the same that you can see. Only the model class or name changes. That's all, right? You can see with Gemini, we have used this class, Chat Google Generative AI, and connected using an API key, right? With Ollama, we have used this class, Chat Ollama, and models run locally without API key, right? Means API key is not required because our model is running locally on our system, right? And at the end, we have used this class, Chat OpenAI, and we have loaded our API key from .env file, right? And at the end, we also build Streamlit apps for each one. Just I want to show how you can turn a few lines of Python into fully functional web interfaces to interact with models that you can see. Hope all of you are clear with this, right? Let's move on.